There's a movie that's been floating around, and I've been hearing mixed things about it. I've been hearing that it's, it's an actual good slasher movie, and I've heard other people say, well, it's just like your generic, slasher movie. I'm talking about Clown in a Cornfield. It's a new horror movie that's based on the book by the same name, and apparently book readers really liked that book and were really excited for this movie. I had no idea that it existed until around like a couple weeks ago, while I was walking in an airport and I saw a poster for the movie at a bookstore, and I was like, oh, book people are probably really excited for this movie. And I was like, I genuinely thought, yeah, this movie looks like, it's gonna be bad. Like, it's gonna be a movie that really just wanted to make a slasher movie, but they didn't actually put any sort of time into the story. But then I started hearing decent things from even my friends that watch really good movies. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this movie a chance. Maybe I shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and decided to go see it. So I went and saw it. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on push notifications, but let's get into today's review. Clown in a Cornfield is about Quinn and her father who moved to a new town called Kettle Springs. She's having a hard time bonding with her dad and adapting to this new change after an even bigger change happened when her mom recently passed away. She ends up coming across a group of teenagers at her new school where she starts making friends, but eventually something weird starts to happen where clowns begin to come out of a cornfield. That's basically the rundown of the movie. I mean, yes, there are clowns in cornfields. But yeah, was this movie something genuinely special? No. I think that this is a fine slasher movie. I think fine might be, a little bit too nice, but it's not a bad movie. It's not entertaining. I think that there's decent kills in it, but I didn't think that this was anything like truly spectacular. Like, a lot of people were saying that, like, with the bad slashers that have been coming out lately, like, this felt like fresh. And while I was watching it, I was like, this just feels like one of those cheesy slasher movies. So me personally, I wasn't like super intrigued with the story, and I didn't think that there was anything like particularly original. And I know that this is based off of a book, but coming from a film standpoint, I just think that it just genuinely wasn't that interesting of a watch. It was also very predictable because I predicted who was going to be the bad guys by the end of the movie, so that wasn't really there. I mean, throughout the movie, I kind of speculated different things, but for the most part, I was just like, I think that we know who the bad guy is going to be, and I was right. Now, guessing the plot twist of a movie doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie, but when you are also mixing it with not the greatest script and kind of poorly paced nonsense, it kind of makes the movie not that great. I also noticed that this movie was produced by Shudder, which is a production company that also gave us Late Night with the Devil like 2 years ago, which I very, very, very much like that movie. So I was like, oh, okay, let's see what this one's all about. But it felt super cheesy. I know it's an independent film, but it was cheesy to the point of just like, I don't know if I'm digging this, because I like cheesy stuff, but when it becomes too cheesy, it's kind of like, well, we don't have big enough budget to make this look not super cheesy, but we're going to do it anyways, and it just comes out not looking the greatest. I am an advocate for independent filmmaking, but I'm also an advocate for less is more. But at the end of the day, it really is a slasher film, and people are going to see this movie for the kills. And if it's just based off that, I think people will mostly have a fine time with it. If you really just want to sit down, watch a movie that has some decent kills, then I think you will find something in this movie. But to me, I didn't even think that the kills were that impressive enough for me to be like, you know what, this was actually a pretty fun movie. I think if they'd have focused a lot more on the gruesomeness, then it would have been a much better watch. But the script's messy, the characters are kind of not interesting, and the kills weren't the greatest. So, this movie's kind of right down the middle for me. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's really that good, but it's kind of just right down the middle. It's something. But, if you are a fan of the book, I am almost certain that you'll probably really dig this movie, which is the most important part. So, if you enjoyed this movie, I am very happy for you. I personally didn't like it that much, but that's okay. They're not always going to be winners. That brings you to the end of today's review. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of it. I appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on push notifications. But remember, your movie moment is right around the corner. See you in the next video.